Chapter 1. Mountain Whispers. The mountainous landscape of western Montana stretched before Lily Cooper like a painting, all emerald pines and rugged peaks touching the vast blue sky. At 32, she had learned to appreciate the beauty around her, even when life offered little else to celebrate. She tucked a strand of honey-brown hair behind her ear as she gazed out the small window of their cabin, watching her 6-year-old daughter Emma playing with pine cones in the yard. "Emma, sweetie, time for your medicine," Lily called, her voice gentle but tinged with the ever-present worry that had become as familiar as her own heartbeat. The little girl looked up, her blonde pigtails bouncing as she reluctantly abandoned her makeshift forest creatures and trudged toward the cabin. Emma's severe asthma had become progressively worse over the past year, each attack more frightening than the last. The whistling sound that occasionally accompanied her breathing was enough to send shivers down Lily's spine. "I don't want it, Mommy," Emma protested weakly, her blue eyes, so like Lily's own, clouding with childish rebellion. "I know, baby. But it helps you breathe better," Lily explained for what felt like the 1,000th time, measuring out the medication with practiced precision. Her hands trembled slightly. The bottle was nearly empty, and her next paycheck was still a week away. Their cabin, a small 2-bedroom rental at the edge of Whitefish, was modest but homey. Lily had filled it with second-hand furniture, colorful quilts, and Emma's crayon drawings. It wasn't much, but it was theirs, a safe haven after escaping the toxic marriage that had nearly broken her spirit 3 years ago. As Emma settled onto the worn sofa with her inhaler, Lily mentally calculated their finances again. Her job, as a waitress at the local diner, barely covered rent and groceries. The medical bills kept piling up despite the assistance programs she'd managed to qualify for. Something had to change, and soon. "Mrs. Miller called today," Emma said between puffs. "She said I'm the best reader in class." Lily smiled, momentarily pushing aside her worries. "That's wonderful, Em. I always knew you were brilliant. She also said there's a new student coming next week. His uncle bought the big estate on Eagle Mountain." Lily nodded absently, having heard the rumors circulating through town. The massive property that had sat empty for years had been purchased by some reclusive billionaire from back east. The locals had been buzzing with speculation for weeks, though Lily had paid little attention to such gossip. The lives of the ultra-wealthy existed in a different universe from her own daily struggle for survival. The next morning, while dropping Emma at school, Lily noticed a "Help Wanted" sign posted on the community bulletin board. The Henderson estate, the very place Emma had mentioned, was seeking household staff. The pay listed made Lily's eyes widen. It was nearly triple what she made at the diner. "Are you going to apply, Mommy?" Emma asked, following Lily's gaze to the notice. "I might," Lily replied thoughtfully. With that kind of money, she could afford Emma's medications and maybe even start saving for her future education. That afternoon, after finishing her shift at the diner, Lily drove her ancient Toyota pickup up the winding road to Eagle Mountain. The property was even more impressive than the rumors suggested. Acres of pristine forest surrounding a sprawling stone mansion that looked like it belonged in the pages of a magazine rather than the rugged Montana wilderness. At the security gate, Lily felt suddenly self-conscious in her simple jeans and button-down shirt, but she straightened her shoulders and announced her purpose. After a brief call, the gate swung open, and she was directed to park and enter through a side entrance where the estate manager would meet her. The manager, Mr. Jenkins, was a tall, thin man with a perpetually furrowed brow. He regarded Lily with cool assessment before conducting a brisk interview. His questions were pointed, particularly about her experience with discretion and ability to work around special circumstances. "Mr. Henderson values his privacy above all else," Jenkins explained, his tone clipped. "He rarely interacts with the staff, and when he does, it will be brief. You are to perform your duties efficiently and invisibly. Is that clear?" Lily nodded, wondering what kind of man this mysterious employer was. "May I ask about the nature of these special circumstances?" Jenkins hesitated. "Mr. Henderson has mobility limitations. He uses a wheelchair and requires certain accommodations. This is not to be discussed outside these walls. The position involves general housekeeping, some meal preparation, and occasional assistance with organizing his personal library. The previous housekeeper found the environment challenging. By the end of the interview, Lily had been offered the position with the understanding that she could start immediately. The salary was even better than advertised, with healthcare benefits that would cover Emma's medical needs. It seemed too good to be true. As Jenkins led her on a tour of the areas where she would be working, Lily caught glimpses of stunning architectural details and furnishings that spoke of immense wealth. The library alone, her primary responsibility, contained thousands of volumes housed in floor-to-ceiling shelves of polished mahogany. "Mr. Henderson spends most of his time here," Jenkins noted. "You'll reorganize and dust according to a very specific system. He'll leave notes, follow them precisely." Just as they were completing the tour, a door opened at the far end of a corridor and a wheelchair appeared. Lily caught only a brief glimpse of broad shoulders and dark hair before Jenkins quickly ushered her in the opposite direction. "That will be all for today, Ms. Cooper. Report tomorrow at 7 a.m. sharp." The abrupt dismissal left Lily with more questions than answers, but the prospect of financial stability overshadowed her misgivings. That evening, as she tucked Emma into bed, she shared the news about her new job. "Will you get to meet the rich man?" Emma asked, eyes wide with childlike curiosity. "I don't know, sweetie. He likes his privacy. Mrs. Miller says he was in an accident. That's why he came here, to hide from everyone." Lily frowned. "Emma, we shouldn't listen to gossip. Everyone deserves respect no matter what." Later that night, Lily sat at their small kitchen table, surrounded by past due notices and medication prescriptions. The job would be a lifeline, but at what cost? The strange atmosphere at the estate, the secrecy surrounding her employer, and the obvious tension in Jenkins' manner all suggested complications she hadn't anticipated. Still, when she thought of Emma's wheezing breaths and the dwindling supply of medicine, Lily knew she had no choice. She would work at the Henderson estate, maintain her professionalism, and keep her distance from its mysterious owner. This job was about survival, not curiosity. As she finally drifted off to sleep, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had shifted in her life's trajectory, that the winding road up Eagle Mountain would lead her to places she couldn't yet imagine, for better or worse. The next morning dawned cold and misty. Lily rose before the sun, prepared Emma's lunch, and dropped her daughter at her neighbor's house with instructions for getting her to school. She then drove through the fog toward the estate, her headlights cutting weakly through the thick white blanket that shrouded the mountain. When she arrived, Jenkins handed her a uniform, simple black pants and a white button-down shirt, along with a thick binder of instructions. "Mr. Henderson has specific preferences for everything," he informed her. "Study this carefully. Any deviation will be noted." The precision required was daunting, but Lily was determined. As she moved quietly through the mansion's east wing, dusting shelves and organizing books according to the elaborate classification system, she couldn't help but feel the weight of unseen eyes following her. Twice she thought she heard the soft whirring of an electric wheelchair, only to find empty hallways when she turned. It wasn't until late afternoon, as sunlight streamed through the library's tall windows, that Lily finally encountered the master of the house. She was balanced on a ladder, replacing a heavy volume on a high shelf, when a deep voice broke the silence. "You missed the Dickens first edition. It belongs with the British Literature Collection, not American." Chapter 2. Shadows and Light. Startled by the unexpected voice, Lily nearly lost her balance on the ladder. She steadied herself against the bookshelf and looked down to see a man in a wheelchair positioned near the library entrance. So this was Nathan Henderson, the mysterious recluse who owned this magnificent estate. His appearance contradicted the frail invalid she had imagined. Though seated, his presence commanded the room. Broad shoulders filled an impeccably tailored charcoal sweater, and his face, striking rather than conventionally handsome, bore the sharp angles of someone who had lost weight rapidly. But it was his eyes that captivated Lily. Dark as midnight, and just as impenetrable, they seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "I'm sorry, sir," Lily replied, carefully descending the ladder. I was following the catalogue system in the binder Mr. Jenkins provided. Jenkins is efficient, but lacks literary understanding, Henderson said dismissively. He wheeled closer, his movements precise and controlled. You're the new housekeeper. Lily Cooper, correct? Yes, sir. She was surprised he knew her name. Your references indicated attention to detail. His tone wasn't accusatory, merely observational. I expect excellence, Ms. Cooper. My home is my sanctuary. I don't tolerate disturbances or incompetence. I understand, Mr. Henderson. Lily maintained eye contact despite her discomfort. I'll correct the placement immediately. Something flickered across his expression. Surprise, perhaps. At her direct response, most employees probably cowered under his scrutiny. See that you do. He turned his wheelchair with practiced ease. Before exiting, he added, almost as an afterthought, the American first editions are catalogued in the green leather journal on my desk. Familiarize yourself with it. And then he was gone, leaving only the faint scent of sandalwood and cedar in his wake. Over the next 2 weeks, Lily adjusted to the rhythm of the estate. She arrived each morning at 7, meticulously performed her duties, and rarely encountered Henderson himself. When they did cross paths, their interactions were brief and professional, him issuing specific instructions, her acknowledging them without unnecessary conversation. Jenkins, she discovered, maintained an almost reverential fear of their employer. Mr. Henderson values competence above all, he explained when Lily questioned the extreme emphasis on precision. Before the accident, he was one of the most brilliant investment strategists on Wall Street. Now, Jenkins lowered his voice. He expects nothing less than perfection from his surroundings, since he can no longer achieve it himself. The accident remained unelaborated upon, but Lily gathered bits of information through oblique references. 3 years ago, a car crash on an icy road. His wife hadn't survived. Henderson had barely escaped with his life, though his spinal cord injury had left him permanently paralyzed from the waist down. The mansion, despite its grandeur, felt like a mausoleum, a shrine to grief and isolation. Henderson rarely received visitors and never left the property. Most rooms remained shrouded in partial darkness, heavy curtains drawn against the mountain sunlight. At home, however, Lily's situation was improving dramatically. Her first paycheck allowed her to refill Emma's prescriptions and even purchase a new nebulizer machine. The health insurance that came with the position meant Emma could finally see specialists without Lily worrying about bankruptcy. You look less worried, Mommy, Emma observed one evening as they prepared dinner together. In their small kitchen, is the rich man nice to you? Lily considered the question. He's correct, she finally answered. Very proper and precise. Like Mrs. Miller when she's grading spelling tests? Lily laughed. Something like that. That night, Emma had a severe asthma attack, the worst in months. By midnight, the medication wasn't working and her breathing became dangerously labored. Panic rising, Lily bundled her daughter into the truck and sped toward the hospital in Whitefish, praying the ancient vehicle wouldn't break down on the isolated mountain road. The emergency room doctor stabilized Emma, but recommended she stay overnight for observation. The new insurance covered everything, but Lily faced a different problem. She needed to be at work in 4 hours, and calling in absent wasn't an option. Jenkins had made it abundantly clear that Mr. Henderson tolerated no disruptions to his carefully structured routine. After Emma fell asleep, monitored by machines and breathing easily for the first time in hours, Lily slipped into the hospital bathroom to freshen up as best she could. She called Jenkins at 6 a.m., explaining the situation and promising to arrive by 8:30 after her daughter was discharged. Jenkins was icily disapproving. Mr. Henderson expects punctuality, Ms. Cooper. Your personal circumstances are not the estate's concern. My daughter was hospitalized with a life-threatening condition, Lily replied, her exhaustion giving way to anger. I'll make up the time, but I won't apologize for being a mother first. She hung up before Jenkins could respond, immediately regretting her impulsivity. She couldn't afford to lose this job, not with Emma's medical bills and their precarious financial situation. But the thought of apologizing to the austere manager turned her stomach. When Emma was released, Lily dropped her at school with her medication and strict instructions to visit the nurse at the first sign of breathing difficulties. Then she drove directly to the estate, arriving 90 minutes late. Jenkins met her at the staff entrance, his thin face taut with displeasure. "Mr. Henderson wishes to see you immediately in the library. I warned you, Miss Cooper." Lily's heart sank, but she squared her shoulders and walked to the library, mentally calculating how long her savings would last if she were fired today. Not long enough to find equivalent employment, that was certain. The library doors were partially open. She knocked softly before entering. Henderson sat by the window, a shaft of reluctant sunlight illuminating the silver streaks in his dark hair. He didn't turn when she entered. "You're late, Miss Cooper." "Yes, sir. My daughter had a severe asthma attack last night. We were at the emergency room until this morning." Jenkins mentioned a child. Henderson's voice betrayed no emotion. "I wasn't aware of her medical condition. Emma is 6. Her asthma can be life-threatening if not properly managed." Lily stood straight, refusing to appear apologetic for prioritizing her daughter. "I can make up the hours this evening or on my day off." Henderson finally turned his wheelchair to face her. His expression was unreadable, his eyes studying her. With analytical detachment, "That won't be necessary." He wheeled toward his desk, lifted a pen and scribbled something on a notepad. "Take this to the business office on your way out. Jenkins will adjust your schedule to accommodate future medical emergencies." Lily accepted the note, confused. "I'm not fired?" A flicker of something amusement crossed his face. "Do you want to be?" "No, sir." "Then I suggest you return to your duties, Ms. Cooper." He turned back to the window, effectively dismissing her. The note, which she read in the hallway, instructed the business office to provide Lily with a cell phone for emergency communications and to implement a flexible scheduling arrangement that would allow for her daughter's medical needs. Additionally, Henderson had authorized an increase in her healthcare coverage to include specialized pediatric care. Bewildered by this unexpected consideration, Lily approached Jenkins, who appeared equally surprised by the instructions. "Mr. Henderson rarely makes exceptions to his protocols," he said stiffly. "Consider yourself fortunate." That evening, Lily was organizing periodicals in the library when Henderson appeared again. He rarely visited this late, usually retreating to his private quarters after dinner. "How is your daughter?" he asked without preamble. Startled, Lily set down the magazines she was sorting. "She's better, thank you. The new medication is helping." Henderson nodded. An uncomfortable silence stretched between them before he spoke again. "Children are resilient, more so than adults, I've observed." "Emma has been through a lot," Lily agreed, "but she faces each day with remarkable courage." "Much like her mother, I imagine." The comment was delivered so neutrally that Lily couldn't determine if it was observation or compliment. Before she could respond, Henderson continued, "I've authorized additional medical benefits for dependents of key staff. Jenkins will provide the details tomorrow." "That's incredibly generous," Lily said, genuinely moved. "But why? You hardly know us." Henderson's gaze shifted to the window, where darkness had settled over the mountains. "I recognize determination when I see it, Ms. Cooper, and necessity. Your daughter needs proper care, and you need peace of mind to perform your duties effectively. It's a pragmatic arrangement." But there was something in his voice, a softness at odds with his usual clipped precision that suggested other motivations at play. For a moment, the aloof billionaire seemed almost human. "Still, thank you." Lily smiled, the first genuine smile she'd offered since starting this job. Henderson didn't return the smile, but his rigid posture seemed to relax infinitesimally. "Jenkins mentioned you have experience with rare book restoration. Is that correct?" The ED question was so unexpected that Lily took a moment to respond. "I worked at a university library through college. Nothing formal, but I learned basic preservation techniques for the special collections. I have several volumes requiring attention. If you're interested, it would involve additional hours, compensated accordingly, of course." The offer was Surprising but welcome. Extra income would help rebuild their depleted savings. I'd be happy to help, Mr. Henderson. Good, we'll begin tomorrow evening. He turned to leave, then paused. And Miss Cooper, in the future, if your daughter requires medical attention, inform me directly. Jenkins means well, but he lacks perspective on certain matters. With that cryptic statement, he exited the library, leaving Lily to wonder what had prompted this apparent shift in their professional relationship. The following day, Emma's teacher called during Lily's lunch break. Emma had a minor breathing issue during recess, Mrs. Miller explained. Nothing serious, but she's asking for you. Lily immediately called Jenkins, who reluctantly granted permission for her to leave early. As she hurried toward her truck, she nearly collided with Henderson, who was returning from a rare venture onto the grounds, accompanied by his physical therapist. "Is everything all right, Ms. Cooper?" he asked, noting her obvious distress. "Emma's having trouble at school. I need to pick her up." Henderson nodded to his therapist, who stepped discreetly away. "Take my car," he said, gesturing to the sleek black SUV parked nearby. "Samuel will drive you. It's faster than your truck." Before Lily could protest, he added, "Your daughter's welfare takes precedence over library cataloging. Go." Chapter 3. Unexpected Bridges. The sleek black SUV glided through traffic with an efficiency Lily's ancient truck could never manage. Samuel, Henderson's taciturn driver, navigated the mountain roads with practiced ease, while Lily anxiously watched the minutes tick by. They reached Emma's school in record time. When Lily entered the nurse's office, Emma was sitting on a cot, her breathing stabilized, but her small face pale with fatigue. She brightened immediately upon seeing her mother. "I'm okay now, Mommy. I used my inhaler like you showed me." Lily embraced her daughter, relief washing over her. "You did perfectly, sweetheart." The school nurse approached with Emma's file. "She handled it very well, but given her history, we thought it best to call you." As they prepared to leave, Emma noticed Samuel waiting by the SUV. "Is that your friend, Mommy?" "No, sweetie. Mr. Henderson, my boss, let us borrow his car to come get you." Emma's eyes widened. "The man in the big house? The one who can't walk?" "Emma," Lily admonished gently, "remember what we said about being respectful." "But I didn't say anything bad," Emma protested as they approached the vehicle. "Bobby Jenkins told me his dad works there too, and he said, Mr. Henderson got hurt because—" "That's enough, Emma," Lily interrupted, suddenly conscious of Samuel's presence. "We don't repeat gossip, remember?" In the car, Emma fell asleep almost immediately, exhausted from her ordeal. When they arrived back at the estate, Lily expected to be dropped at her truck, but Samuel continued to the main house. "Mr. Henderson instructed me to bring you to the east entrance," he explained, noticing Lily's confusion. "He thought your daughter might need to rest before you drive home." Indeed, when they pulled up to the side of the mansion, Henderson himself was waiting in the doorway, his wheelchair positioned just inside the threshold. "How is she?" he asked as Samuel helped carry the sleeping Emma inside. "Better now," Lily replied, still thrown by this unexpected development. "But tired. Thank you for sending the car. I can take her home now." Henderson shook his head. "I've had a guest room prepared. The mountain roads can be treacherous when distracted, and you appear exhausted yourself." His tone was matter-of-fact, brooking no argument. "There's a pediatric nebulizer in the room. Jenkins informed me it might be useful." Lily was too drained to protest. The offer of a proper bed and medical equipment was too practical to refuse. She followed a housekeeper she recognized, Maria, up a grand staircase to a comfortably appointed room with 2 beds. One was already turned down, and the promised nebulizer sat on a side table. "Mr. Henderson had it delivered this afternoon," Maria explained with a knowing smile. "After you called about your daughter." Lily settled Emma into the bed, connected the nebulizer, and sat watching her daughter's peaceful breathing. The contrast between their tiny cabin and this luxurious room couldn't be more stark. Here, thick carpets muffled footsteps, heavy curtains blocked out all noise, and the furnishings spoke of understated wealth. A soft knock at the door revealed Jenkins, looking uncomfortable. Mr. Henderson requests your presence in the library once. Your daughter is settled. Maria will stay with the child. Lily hesitated, glancing at Emma. Go, Maria encouraged. I raised 5 children. I know what to watch for. The library was dimly lit when Lily entered, the only illumination coming from a single lamp near Henderson's desk. He was studying a leather-bound volume, his profile severe in the half-light. Ms. Cooper. He closed the book and gestured to a chair opposite his desk. Please, sit. Your daughter is comfortable. Yes, thank you. Your kindness is unexpected, but very much appreciated. Henderson's expression remained impassive. I've been reviewing your personnel file. Before becoming a waitress, you were pursuing a master's degree in library science. The abrupt change of subject caught Lily off guard. Yes, I had to abandon it when... She trailed off, uncertain how much personal information was appropriate. When you left your husband, Henderson finished matter-of-factly. Though your application mentioned a divorce 3 years ago. Lily stiffened. I prefer not to discuss that. Understandable. Henderson studied her with that penetrating gaze that seemed to see beneath surfaces. Your academic record was impressive. Why haven't you resumed your studies? A single mother working multiple jobs can't exactly pursue higher education, Lily replied, a touch of bitterness creeping into her voice. Survival takes precedence over ambition. A pragmatic assessment. Henderson wheeled around the desk until he was positioned directly in front of her. Without the barrier, between them, Lily noticed details she'd previously missed. A thin scar that bisected his right eyebrow, the fine lines around his eyes suggesting pain rather than age, the careful way he positioned his useless legs. I have a proposition, Ms. Cooper. My library contains over 10,000 volumes, many rare and requiring specialized care. I've been searching for someone with both the technical knowledge and sensitivity to properly maintain them. Your background suggests you might be suited for the position. Lily blinked in surprise. You're offering me a promotion. A new role altogether. Head librarian and archivist for the Henderson collection. The salary would be double your current rate, with flexible hours to accommodate your daughter's needs. The offer was so unexpected that Lily momentarily lost her composure. Why me? Surely there are professionals with completed degrees who would jump at this opportunity. I've interviewed 12 such professionals. None possess the combination of skill and perspective I require. He paused, seeming to choose his next words carefully. You handle precious things with care, Ms. Cooper, not just books. I've observed how you treat the staff, how you interact with your daughter. There's an awareness of value that can't be taught. Overwhelmed by both the offer and the unexpected insight, Lily struggled to respond. I would need time to consider, and to arrange childcare for Emma during the additional hours. Your daughter would be welcome here after school. The East Wing has several rooms suitable for a child to study and play under supervision. Seeing her hesitation, he added, This is not charity, Miss Cooper. It's a business arrangement beneficial to both parties. May I ask why you came to Montana, Mr. Henderson? Lily found herself asking. It seems an unlikely place for someone with your background. A shadow crossed his face. Isolation has its advantages when one's life has been publicly dismantled. He made a dismissive gesture. The investment world has little use for damaged goods, and New York has no patience for vulnerability. Here the mountains don't care if you're whole or broken. The raw honesty of his statement hung in the air between them. Lily recognized the pain beneath his words, the same pain she had carried from her own shattered life. I understand isolation, she said quietly. After I left Mark, my ex-husband, Emma and I lived in a women's shelter for 6 months. I couldn't bear to be around people who knew us before, who might judge or pity us. Sometimes distance is the only way to rebuild. Henderson's eyes met hers, and for the first time Lily saw something besides cool analysis, a flash of recognition, of shared understanding that transcended their disparate circumstances. Consider my offer, he said, his voice softer than she had ever heard it. Take the weekend, we can discuss details on Monday. As Lily turned to leave, Henderson added, And Miss Cooper, thank you for your candor, it's refreshing. The next morning, Emma woke feeling much better. Lily found herself giving an impromptu tour of the mansion as they made their way downstairs, Emma's curiosity bubbling over at each new discovery. "It's like a castle from my storybooks," she exclaimed, running her small hand along the polished banister. "Does Mr. Henderson have dragons too?" Lily laughed. "I don't think so, but he does have an amazing library full of adventures." "Can I see it, please?" Before Lily could respond, a deep voice came from the hallway ahead. The library is always open to serious scholars, regardless of their age. Henderson wheeled into view, dressed more casually than Lily had ever seen him in a navy sweater and grey slacks. Emma immediately froze, half hiding behind her mother. "Good morning, Mr. Henderson," Lily said, placing a reassuring hand on Emma's shoulder. "We were just heading out. Thank you again for your hospitality." Henderson nodded, then directed his attention to Emma. "You must be the young lady who enjoys reading. Your mother mentioned you're the best in your class." Emma's shyness evaporated at the mention of reading. "I got a gold star for my book report on Charlotte's Web," she informed him solemnly. "Appedia, excellent choice. A story about unlikely friendship and the power of words." Henderson's expression softened almost imperceptibly. "I have several first editions of children's classics that rarely receive the attention they deserve. Perhaps you might help correct that oversight someday." Emma nodded enthusiastically, her earlier fear forgotten. "Do you have The Secret Garden?" "That's my favorite." "Indeed I do. The 1911 original publication with illustrations by Charles Robinson." Henderson glanced at Lily, a question in his eyes. Understanding his intent, Lily nodded her permission. "We have a few minutes before we need to leave." Henderson led them to the library, where he navigated to a glass-fronted cabinet. Using a small key, he unlocked it and carefully extracted a beautifully preserved volume. Rather than handing it directly to Emma, he placed it on a special reading stand. "Books like this require gentle handling," he explained, showing Emma how to turn the delicate pages without damaging them. "They're like living things. They need respect and care to survive the centuries." Lily watched in amazement as her normally energetic daughter became utterly still, absorbing Henderson's every word as he explained the book's history and significance. For his part, Henderson displayed a patience and gentleness she would never have expected from the stern, demanding employer she'd known until now. When it was time to leave, Emma thanked Henderson with surprising formality. "That was the most beautiful book I've ever seen, sir. Thank you for showing it to me." "You're quite welcome, Miss Emma. Perhaps next time you visit, we might explore some other treasures." In the truck driving home, Emma chattered excitedly about the book and the nice wheelchair man, who didn't seem scary at all. Lily listened, her mind processing the events of the past 24 hours and the unexpected glimpses she'd been given into Nathan Henderson's carefully guarded world. That evening, as Emma slept peacefully for the first time in weeks, Lily sat at their kitchen table weighing Henderson's job offer. The financial security it represented was undeniable, enough to restart her education, provide Emma with everything she needed, perhaps even save for a small house of their own someday. But accepting meant becoming further entwined with Henderson himself, a man whose tragic past and isolated present created a gravity that both attracted and alarmed her. There was something dangerous in the way he had looked at her in the library, something that suggested his interest might extend beyond her professional capabilities. Lily had escaped one controlling relationship. She couldn't risk another. No, matter how gilded the cage. And yet, the man who had gently introduced Emma to rare books bore little resemblance to the coldly efficient recluse who had first interviewed her. Which version was the real Nathan Henderson? As she finally prepared for bed, Lily's phone chimed with a text message from an unknown number. "The position remains open. When you're ready to discuss terms, simply say so. Whatever your decision, the medical benefits for Emma are permanent. No strings attached. NH." Lily stared at the message, a complex mixture of emotions washing over her. Gratitude for his generosity toward Emma, wariness of his apparent ability to read her concerns, and beneath it all, a flicker of something she wasn't ready to name, an unexpected connection to a man as wounded and wary as herself. Chapter 4. Storm Warnings. Monday morning arrived with a decision. Lily accepted Henderson's offer, drawn as much by the intellectual challenge as by the financial benefits. By mid-afternoon, she was installed in a newly refurbished office adjacent to the library, surrounded by cataloging equipment and conservation supplies that had been delivered overnight. Mr. Henderson spares no expense when something interests him, Jenkins remarked as he supervised the installation of specialized lighting. His tone carried an undercurrent of disapproval that Lily chose to ignore. Her new role granted her unprecedented access to Henderson's world. The rare book collection was even more impressive than she'd initially realized. First editions of American classics, European treasures, and illuminated manuscripts worth small fortunes individually, let alone collectively. The work was fascinating, drawing on everything she'd learned during her truncated academic career. More surprising was the gradual shift in her interactions with Henderson himself. Their daily consultations about the collection grew longer, discussions of binding techniques and preservation methods evolving into conversations about literature, history, and occasionally life beyond the library walls. "You disagree with my interpretation of Melville," Henderson observed one evening, looking almost amused as Lily passionately defended her position on symbolism in Moby Dick. "I think your Wall Street background colors your reading," she replied, then immediately worried she'd overstepped. Still, something in his expression encouraged honesty. "You see Ahab's obsession as noble persistence, but I see tragic blindness, destruction wrought by an inability to accept limitation." A shadow crossed Henderson's face. "Perhaps you're right." He wheeled toward the window where rain lashed against the glass. "Obsession can blind us to the wreckage we create in its pursuit." The personal undercurrent in his words hung between them. Lily had pieced together more about his past from conversations with staff and occasional newspaper articles she'd found online. Nathan Henderson had been a Wall Street legend, known for his brilliant strategic mind and unerring instinct for market trends. His marriage to Vanessa Caldwell, a celebrated architect, had made them the golden couple of Manhattan's elite circles. Then came the accident on an icy Connecticut road. Henderson had been driving. His wife had not survived. The media speculation had been relentless. Was he speeding? Had they been arguing? Was their marriage in trouble before the crash? Henderson had disappeared from public view entirely after her funeral, emerging only through occasional business transactions conducted remotely. "May I ask you something personal?" Lily ventured, emboldened by the unusual intimacy of the moment. Henderson remained facing the window, but nodded slightly. "Why did you really hire me? There are professional archivists with far more experience." "Because you understand loss," he interrupted, his voice so quiet she had to strain to hear it. "And rebuilding. The others I interviewed saw only books to be preserved. You see the stories they contain, the human experiences. That perspective is valuable." Before Lily could respond, the library door swung open and Jenkins entered with a stack of mail. "Quarterly reports from the New York office, sir," he announced, pointedly ignoring Lily. "And your nephew's flight has been confirmed for tomorrow. Shall I have the East guest suite prepared?" Henderson's demeanor instantly shifted back to his more typical businesslike efficiency. "Yes, and ensure the privacy protocols are updated. Tyler tends to post everything online." As Jenkins withdrew, Henderson returned his attention to Lily. "My sister's son is visiting for the summer. 17, brilliant but unfocused. You'll need to secure any fragile items in the collection. Tyler is curious about everything and careful about nothing." "I understand," Lily replied, recognizing the dismissal in his tone. Their moment of connection had passed, or been deliberately terminated. The next day brought not only preparations for Tyler's arrival, but also Emma's first official visit to the estate after school. Henderson had arranged for her to use a sunny room adjacent to Lily's office, complete with a child-sized table and chairs, art supplies, and a bookshelf filled with age-appropriate selections from his collection. "Is this all for me?" Emma gasped, wide-eyed at the display. "Mr. Henderson thought you might like a special place to do homework while I finish my work," Lily explained, equally amazed by the thoughtfulness of the gesture. Emma explored the room with growing excitement, finally settling at the table with a drawing pad. "I'm going to make Mr. Henderson a thank you picture," she declared, "with lots of purple because purple is the color for kings and he has a castle." Lily smiled at her daughter's logic. "That's very thoughtful, sweetheart." Emma was putting the finishing touches on her masterpiece when the sound of rapid footsteps and youthful laughter echoed down the hallway, unusual sounds in the normally hushed mansion. A moment later, a tall teenage boy with Henderson's dark hair but none of his severity bounded into the library. "Uncle Nate said I'd find the new book lady in here," he announced cheerfully. "You must be Ms. Cooper. I'm Tyler, the cool Henderson." He offered a mock bow before noticing Emma. "And who's this artist?" "I'm Emma," her daughter replied, suddenly shy. "I'm making a picture for Mr. Henderson." Tyler crouched beside her table, examining the drawing with exaggerated seriousness. "Excellent use of purple. Very regal. Uncle Nate will love it." Emma beamed at the approval. Tyler turned his attention back to Lily. "So you're the miracle worker who got my uncle to actually speak in full sentences again. Mom says he almost sounded human on their last phone call." "Tyler." Henderson's voice came from the doorway carrying a note of warning. The teenager straightened, unrepentant. "Just making friends, Uncle Nate. Besides, Ms. Cooper deserves a medal for putting up with you." To Lily's surprise, Henderson's expression softened as he regarded his nephew. "Your social skills remain as subtle as ever. Have you completed the summer reading your mother assigned before allowing this exile?" "Working on it," Tyler replied breezily. "Hey, is that Emma's artwork? You should see this, Uncle Nate. The kid's got talent." Emma, encouraged by Tyler's enthusiasm, cautiously approached Henderson with her drawing. "It's your castle," she explained, pointing to purple turrets and what appeared to be a stick figure in a wheelchair. "And that's you being the king." For a moment, Henderson seemed at loss for words. He accepted the drawing with unexpected gentleness. "Thank you, Emma. It's been a long time since anyone has given me original artwork." "You can hang it in your room," Emma suggested. "My mommy puts all my special pictures on the refrigerator, but I think kings probably have better places." A ghost of a smile touched Henderson's lips. "Indeed. Perhaps the library would be most appropriate. After all, every great collection needs original works." The genuine warmth in that brief exchange stirred something in Lily, a glimpse of the man Henderson might have been before tragedy reshaped him. She found herself wondering, not for the first time, what it would be like to know that man more fully. The arrival of Tyler brought unexpected energy to the estate. The teenager's irreverent humor and boundless curiosity seemed to both irritate and rejuvenate his uncle. More significantly for Lily, Emma adored him instantly. Tyler appointed himself her official playmate and guide, showing her hidden corners of the estate grounds and teaching her to play chess on Henderson's antique. "That? She's got the Henderson strategic mind," Tyler informed his uncle after Emma executed a surprisingly clever move. "Better watch out, or she'll be running your company in 20 years. Henderson, observing from his wheelchair, raised an eyebrow. "Perhaps she would do a better job of it than certain nephews who fail to complete their business school applications." "Touché," Tyler conceded good-naturedly. The easy camaraderie between uncle and nephew revealed facets of Henderson that Lily had only glimpsed previously, a dry wit, an underlying warmth, and a genuine concern beneath his stern exterior. One rainy afternoon, as Emma napped on the window seat in the library and Tyler texted friends from New York, Henderson wheeled over to where Lily was carefully repairing the binding of a 19th century atlas. "Tyler says you're wasted as an archivist," he remarked quietly. "He thinks you should finish your degree." Lily carefully placed the book on its stand before responding. "Tyler is 17 and believes everything is simple. Perhaps, but he's not wrong about your potential." Henderson handed her a folder that had been resting on his lap. "Montana State University offers an online master's program in library sciences. Their fall semester begins in August. Opening the folder, Lily found admission materials and a formal letter offering her a full scholarship through the Henderson Educational Foundation. "I can't accept this," she said immediately, though her heart raced at the opportunity. "Why not? The foundation supports dozens of scholars annually. This would simply be another grant. It feels too personal, too much like charity." Henderson's expression hardened. "Is your pride worth more than your daughter's future security?" Question stung precisely because it targeted her deepest vulnerability. "That's unfair." "Life is unfair, Ms. Cooper. I thought you understood that better than most." Henderson's tone was cool, but something in his eyes, a hint of genuine concern perhaps, softened his words. "Consider it an investment in talent. The estate benefits from your increased expertise, and you gain credentials that ensure your professional future regardless of your employment here." Before Lily could respond, Jenkins appeared at the library entrance, his thin face tighter than usual. "Mr. Henderson, there's a situation requiring your attention. Mr. Cooper is at the gate, demanding to see Ms. Cooper and her daughter." Lily felt the blood drain from her face. Mark, her ex-husband, the man whose violence and manipulation had driven her across 3 states in search of safety. The man who had sworn to find her no matter how far she ran. "He says he has custody papers," Jenkins continued, looking uncomfortable. "Security has detained him, but he's becoming aggressive." Henderson's gaze sharpened as he observed Lily's reaction. "Ms. Cooper, do you wish to speak with this man?" Her voice, when she finally found it, was barely audible. "No, he's dangerous. He shouldn't even know where we are." Henderson nodded once, his decision immediate. "Jenkins, inform security that Mr. Cooper is not permitted on the property under any circumstances. If he refuses to leave, contact the sheriff." He turned to Tyler, who had set aside his phone, suddenly alert to the tension. "Take Emma to the East Wing sitting room. Stay with her until Ms. Cooper comes for her." Tyler nodded, instantly serious. He gently woke Emma and led her from the room with a made-up story about a treasure hunt, leaving Lily alone with Henderson. A moment the door closed, Lily's composure cracked. "I need to get Emma away from here. If Mark found us—" "But breathe, Lily." It was the first time Henderson had used her first name. The unexpected intimacy of it, coupled with the steadiness of his voice, helped anchor her. "This property has state-of-the-art security. He cannot reach you or Emma here." "You don't understand. Mark has connections. He's a police detective. He can make legal claims that sound legitimate. He tracked us through 3 states before we came to Montana." "And did he have legitimate custody rights?" "No. There's a restraining order against him. But he ignores it, and his badge often convinces people to look the other way." Lily wrapped her arms around herself, a gesture of self-protection. "The last time he found us, he broke my wrist and threatened Emma. That's why we ran in the middle of the night, why we came so far." Henderson's expression darkened with each word. When Lily finished speaking, he was silent for a long moment, his fingers steepled beneath his chin in thought. "Do you have documentation? The restraining order, medical records of past abuse?" Lily nodded. "In a safety deposit box in town. I keep copies with me always." "Good. That simplifies matters." Henderson reached for his phone. "I'm calling George Harrington, my attorney. He specializes in family law, among other things, and can be here within the hour. In the meantime, I suggest you and Emma remain inside the main house." As he dialed, Lily found her voice again. "Why are you doing this? Getting involved in my personal problems could create complications for you, for the estate." Henderson paused, his finger hovering over the call button. When he looked up at her, his dark eyes held an intensity that made her breath catch. "Because some things are worth fighting for, Lily. Some battles cannot be avoided without surrendering something essential." His gaze held hers. "I learned that lesson too late. Perhaps you won't have to." George Harrington, Henderson's attorney, arrived precisely on time, his confident demeanor reassuring Lily as they gathered in the study. "Mr. Cooper has been escorted off the property and is being detained by the sheriff. Let's establish proper legal protection immediately." Lily spread her documentation, restraining orders, hospital reports, police statements, on the desk, while Henderson instructed, "Whatever resources are required, use them." "The restraining order remains valid," Harrington confirmed, "but needs local registration. Montana's protective laws for domestic violence victims are strong." "Mark will claim I kidnapped Emma," Lily worried aloud. "He's done it before, told. Authorities, I was unstable. He knows how to manipulate the system. Your documentation is exceptionally thorough," Harrington noted. "False claims can be disproven." Henderson interjected decisively, "What immediate steps ensure their safety? Cooper knows where they live and work now." "They'll stay here," Henderson stated when Harrington recommended temporary relocation. "The East Wing is already prepared." Tyler brought Emma in. The girl rushed to her mother, babbling about chess games with Tyler, oblivious to the tension. Henderson gently suggested they help the chef with dessert selections, sending them away with Jenkins. Turning to Lily, Henderson asked bluntly, "You've been running for 3 years. Has it solved the problem?" "It's kept us alive," she replied defensively. "At what cost? Constant fear, uprooting your daughter, abandoning your education, all while waiting for the inevitable confrontation." His voice remained logical rather than judgmental. "There comes a point when one must stop running and make a stand." "That's easy to say from behind security gates and legal teams," Lily snapped. "You have no idea what it's like to feel so powerless." Instantly regretting her words, she apologized, but Henderson's response surprised her. "On the contrary, you're entirely accurate. Wealth insulates against many realities, but not all forms of powerlessness. Some prisons have no visible bars." His unexpected vulnerability shifted something between them. Lily glimpsed not just the imposing billionaire, but a man grappling with his own confinement, physical limitations, guilt, isolation. After signing the necessary documents and Harrington's departure, Henderson gave Lily a small brass key. "This opens the private elevator to the East Wing. The security code is 4709. As she accepted it, their fingers brushed, sending an unexpected current between them. "Why are you really doing this, Nathan?" she asked, using his first name deliberately. He met her gaze steadily. 3 years ago, I drove off an icy road. I lost my wife, my mobility, my purpose, everything that defined me. Though his voice remained level, the tightness around his eyes revealed the cost of this disclosure. I isolated myself completely. Then you arrived with your quiet determination and devotion to your daughter. You showed me that real strength isn't found in withdrawal, but in engagement, not in avoidance, but in confrontation. "I didn't do anything special," Lily protested. "You faced each day with courage despite fear. You built a life for Emma from fragments." His intensity grew. "I'm helping because you reminded me that life continues after devastation, and because no one should face threats alone when others have the power to help." The following days established new routines. Emma thrived in the castle with Tyler as her entertainer. Security monitored for Mark while Harrington updated them on legal proceedings. Henderson broached Lily's education again, showing her an online master's program in library sciences. The Henderson Foundation would cover all expenses. Your schedule here would accommodate the coursework. Though tempted by this dream opportunity, Lily hesitated. "What happens when circumstances change, when we need to move on? Is that still your plan? To run at the first opportunity?" "It's been my reality for 3 years. Then change your reality," Henderson challenged. "Build a life too solid to be uprooted by threats." Their conversation was interrupted by Emma's discovery of an old viewing platform in a massive oak tree. Despite Lily's protests that Henderson had more important concerns, he surprised them by embracing the project. "Sometimes building something new is the best response to loss," he told Lily quietly, "even if it's just a treehouse." The treehouse project became a catalyst, bringing them together as a makeshift family, while legal proceedings against Mark progressed. Harrington successfully extended the restraining order and filed harassment charges based on Mark's behavior at the estate. Mark was forced to return to Oregon for a disciplinary hearing with his department. "It's not over," Harrington cautioned, but we've established strong legal foundations. Lily cautiously allowed herself to hope, while focusing on her upcoming studies and her evolving relationship with Henderson. Their conversations expanded beyond professional matters into literature, philosophy, and personal aspirations. Henderson revealed unexpected wit. Lily shared dreams she'd buried during her years with Mark. Tyler observed their growing connection with approval. "Before you came, it was like living with a ghost," he told Lily privately. "Now he's designing tree houses and arguing about books instead of just staring out windows." Late one night, unable to sleep, Lily found Henderson in the library, holding a photograph of his late wife. "Today would have been our anniversary," he explained. "You must miss her terribly." "Every day. But lately I've found myself remembering her life more than her absence. That feels like progress." Lily asked the question that had been lingering between them. "What happens when this is over? When Emma and I should return to our normal lives? What do you want to happen, Lily?" Henderson asked directly. Before she could answer, the security alarm blared. Jenkins announced over the intercom, "Security breach at the east perimeter. Intruder heading toward the main house." "Mark," Lily whispered, already running toward the east wing where Emma slept. They reached the hallway as security apprehended Mark attempting to force open the fire door. "You can't hide forever," he snarled when he spotted Lily. "She's my daughter too." Henderson positioned himself between them. "Mr. Cooper, you're trespassing and violating a restraining order. The authorities have been called." Mark's hatred shifted to Henderson. "So this is the crippled billionaire who thinks he can buy my family. What did he promise you, Lily? Does he know you'll run when things get difficult?" "Enough," Henderson's voice cut like steel. "Your distorted narrative ends here. The documentation speaks for itself. You are the threat, not Ms. Cooper." "How you don't know anything about us?" Mark began. "I know that real strength isn't demonstrated through intimidation or control," Henderson interrupted calmly. "It's shown through respect, support, and accepting consequences for one's actions." After Mark was taken away by sheriff's deputies, Henderson's hand found Lily's. "He cannot hurt you here, not anymore." "He'll never stop," Lily whispered. "Then we'll be ready every time. Some battles must be faced repeatedly before they're truly won. But you don't have to face them alone." 6 months later, the treehouse stood completed with an elevator system accommodating Henderson's wheelchair. Mark remained in custody, his career ended by multiple violations and damning evidence. Lily had completed her first semester of graduate studies with distinction while managing the Henderson collection, which was gaining scholarly attention under her stewardship. On an autumn evening, Henderson waited for Lily in the garden beside the oak tree, nervously holding a small velvet box. When she arrived with Emma, the child proudly showed her latest drawing, a family portrait showing all of them beneath the treehouse. With Emma dispatched on an errand to Jenkins, Henderson turned to Lily. "I've been thinking about permanence," he began, "about foundations and structures, both literal and metaphorical." "Is this another architectural metaphor?" Lily teased. Growing serious, Henderson continued, 3 years ago, I believed my life had effectively ended. You and Emma taught me otherwise, that healing isn't about reclaiming what was lost, but building something new from the materials at hand." He presented not a ring, but an antique key on a silver chain. "This is the original key to the estate, carried by my grandfather when he built this place as a sanctuary. I'd like it to serve that purpose again." "What exactly are you offering, Nathan?" "Partnership. A commitment to build something enduring together, at whatever pace feels right. The estate needs a mistress, someone to fill it with life beyond my solitary existence. Emma needs stability to grow, and I need you, not to replace what I've lost, but to create something I've never had before." "I'm still afraid sometimes," Lily admitted, "that this will disappear or that I'll somehow fail at this new life. Fear is natural. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to move forward despite it." Lily kissed him for the first time, then slipped the chain over her head, letting the key rest against her heart. Yes, to partnership, to building something, together. From above, Emma and Tyler cheered, having witnessed everything from the treehouse. As they all walked back to the house, the light spilling from its windows offered not just shelter, but invitation, a beacon guiding them toward a future crafted from choice rather than circumstance, from courage rather than fear. In the heart of Montana's mountains, two broken people had found not restoration to what they once were, but transformation into something new, proof that even the deepest wounds could become the foundation for unexpected strength. Fin de la Historia. Dear listeners, we hope Lily and Nathan's journey from fear to courage has touched your hearts. For more emotional stories like this one, we've prepared a special playlist of equally captivating narratives. Find it by clicking to your left. If this story moved you, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Every day we bring you unique stories exploring life's complexities and the healing power of love. Join our community in the comments below